Hi, this is Andy Collin and Chris Pomeroy from Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised. And we're here with our podcast Movie Chat with some friends that grew up with us and got into the industry. And today we are with indie producer, writer, director Rob Burson. So let's jump in and hear his adventure into the indie filmmaking industry. Thanks. Can you talk to the difference between making a short film and a feature film? Because short films are kind of a little bit quick and passionate, whereas you're
Yep.
in the long haul with the feature, you know?
Yeah, the short films that we did, if it's going to be under like say 10 minutes, I think you can shoot it in a weekend with the right people
Right.
and just get in and out. And uh yeah, and so obviously the feature film, like that's, you're shooting 10 minutes in a weekend of a feature of a 90 plus minute thing, right? Same idea though. It's the same exact thing, really.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
that's what we kind of realized when we were shooting the shorts. It's like, oh, we can do nine of these back to
right.
back, and that we've basically done a feature. Can we do it? Yeah. So it was that idea. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, what can you list off some names of independent films that you feel like were inspirational for you? I mean, like say for instance, the first time I really understood independent film was probably Baghdad Cafe.
Baghdad Cafe. Yeah, love that one.
For
Yes.
me, that was kind of like,
Yeah,
oh my God, these films are really cool and about really more about heart and soul than
yeah,
about whiz bang, you know?
yeah. I'd probably have to go with like Sean Baker's early stuff, like Tangerine and
Uh-huh.
Takeout. I don't know if you guys have seen Takeout. That's an amazing movie that he did. That was definitely, I think they were doing that for like 10, like Takeout was like a $10,000, $15,000 film on a
Yeah.
video camera. Like, yeah. Yeah, that one. He in Takeout. Interesting thing about Takeout is like a guy had to throw up, and so they like what's that syrup you can take?
Here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's that
Yeah.
makes you throw up.
Yeah.
So like in that, he was doing stuff like that in this movie with his friends and being like, okay, you need to throw up in this film. Take this, and the guy would throw up. So anyway, that was inspirational in a weird way, I guess. But you know,
this
and then
spontaneous vomit that always does it.
right, yeah, that's it. And the Tangerine obviously was a much bigger budget, but shot on an iPhone in LA, guerrilla style. That was inspirational. And movies with they're going to be bigger budgets, but like had like sort of an independent feel. Like Sofia Coppola actually did some stuff like
Right.
Somewhere,
Yeah.
which pretty had a really nice independent film to it. I know the script for Somewhere was like 20 pages long,
Oh,
and
wow.
so but they just edited it to stretch it out, and it has once you realize that you're like, oh, you just left that scene on for 5 minutes, but how does it work? It's just a girl skating around in an ice rink. Like it's working though. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that kind of stuff is inspirational. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like you get to see a little bit more of exploration in independent film where they try
yeah.
all kinds of. I mean, Bottle Rocket was an early one,
Bottle Rocket, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and I sort of feel like the first films that kind of launched careers could be considered independent. You know, um,
sure.
when I moved to Portland, Gus Van Sant had just come out with Drugstore Cowboy,
Nice.
and that sort of was indie. You know, you got your buddies
Yeah,
together and stuff, and I feel like it's interesting because once people make it, it's all about following the rules of Hollywood. So you
yeah,
don't get your buddies, you don't get your little editor friend that
right.
cut a deal and helped you out on this one. So he's helping you on this one, and
Yeah,
you know, that kind of situation. And so it because the magic, you know, Orson Welles always talks about catching happy mistakes, and that
right.
becomes what's the biggest thing in the whole movie.
For
And I feel
sure.
like with indie, it's all about that. It's all
Right.
about just capturing stuff and seeing the angles and checking things out, and then realizing, oh, the reflection in the tub water just really added so much to that shot, you know?
Yes, that worked. Let's leave it in, even though it wasn't in the script and doesn't
Right.
really. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have the freedom to do that for sure. Actually, back to Sean Baker, he talked about that when he was filming the Florida project, when he actually had a real Hollywood crew and William Dafoe on set, And he was doing stuff like he'd see something cool across the street and just like take off running for it and like, come on, guys. And everybody's like, no, we don't do that. Like we're not going to do. So yeah, they wouldn't do. Yeah. So he struggled with that initially to kind of hold it together and make a Hollywood movie.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because that is really the indie spirit is so quick and it's spontaneous and it's kind of interesting because it is different than and I feel like we're heading into a big change and nobody knows what's going to happen. But my prediction is that the studios aren't going to be producing as much films on their own, and they're going to go out and find the magic pills that everybody's making. And so in a way, they'll be supporting more independent magic or trying to find the diamond in the rough as opposed
God,
to...
I hope so.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It almost feels like they have to because the tech is changing so quickly. They can't invest in that. So why not get all these independent, folks that really push the parameters and are creative, and then, help them, get that going. And the truth is now you're already building your audience and stuff when you're marketing your film and hitting festivals and doing all that stuff. So they begin... You already have sort of set the wheels in motion, and at that point, it's a lot easier for them to just pick it up and run with it than it is for you,
Right.
And they also get the whole thing about helping people and finding, oh, look, we found Robert Rodriguez, it's like they get to be able to say, well, we gave him his first film deal.
Right.
And I feel like it feels like technology is changing the human way of that we've done things before. I don't know how or what exactly it's going to be, but
I think we're right in the middle of that happening where we'll look back and be like, wow, that was like a monumental change, like the invention of like when the internet kind of became a thing. And it's like it's going to be beyond that, but like AI is coming. I don't know. It's here. It's, that's going to be interesting too. And what do we do with AI?
What's weird to me is we have, for instance, it was radio. So then they had to, do the FCC and sort of have regulations for the radio. And then they were like,
right.
Okay, then there's TV. And they were like, streaming on TV. And now internet. What's the difference? It's just another streaming thing. But we don't have anything for the internet like the FCC. Right. So it's weird to me that they've kind of let a certain area be a wild frontier as opposed to the radio and the TV. This just seems like a natural fit. So there are things in place that could just be applied, licensing, ASCAP, the rules they have with stuff. So, if you use AI and you use Tom Cruise, you probably are going to need to pay a licensing fee. Now, it's not like having him there for 16 months and renting a hotel room and buying food and all that stuff, but you're still going to need to pay him to use his character that you just scanned for the last 3 movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it feels to me like some of those kind of things are going to need to be implemented.
I think we're in a very unpredictable place because AI could go in ways that we can't even imagine. Like that's one route that we can imagine this going. But how long do you think it'll be until there's a fully made AI movie, independent of,
well, let's quantify that with a fully AI, a good movie. That
good
should
movie.
Be right. Because I think, until AI is capable of creating rather than just noticing patterns, then we're going to end up with imitative art rather than anything innovative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
But I don't think it's going to be that far off, to be honest.
You're going to need quantum.
I'm thinking 5 years.
That's what I think. About 5 years or so, we're going to see something like that.
Yeah, and it really is going to need quantum computing to be able to do that because all this is doing is just structure. And in order to get to that next level, you're going to have that part, which they're just starting to build quantum computers that are handling and working in there. So you could be right. It could be like 5 years,
Right. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be very interesting. I think it ultimately will be okay. I guess, right? Like people freaked out about the printing press when it came out.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Yeah.
well, there's no longer going to be conversations. People are going to sit around reading books all the time. Well, now that's kind of a cool thing, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, or video killed the radio star.
Video killed the radio star. There's a throwback for you.
And we keep coming back to the same phrase, which is you're either on the train or you're under it.
Right.
Your choice. You need to figure out if you want to buy a ticket or if you want to give up completely.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know.
That's what Lowe always says about Aspen, was that, it's the change is inevitable. It's just going to happen. So
Low simple.
Low,
yeah. He said you can either put your foot on the track or I can't remember what else it was, but something along those lines. Same exact point. But either way, the train's coming, and he's right. It's right.
The train is coming.
That's right.
It feels to me like with regulations in the right direction, and I feel like there's good people and bad people. This is a battle that we've always had. It's in every movie, every Clint Eastwood movie. It's always the antagonist and protagonist, and they're always at odds, and something's going on. And I feel like it's the same thing with AI. People can do really evil things and manipulate people and do all kinds of terrible things, or they could actually cure cancer and do all kinds of amazing things with AI.
Right.
And so it's really about the intent. And what I'm realizing in our political times right now is that it's actually scary how many people have bad intent versus good intent, who don't really care about your neighbor and people around you and your family and stuff. And so it's scary in that sense when you talk about AI, because it really is going to need some regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but the problem is it needs worldwide regulation, because if we lock everything down in the United States, then there's no guarantee that China or North Korea or whoever, Russia, is using it for nefarious purposes. And at that point, we've left ourselves vulnerable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of
well, and that's why that goes back to the whole thing about the globalization of everything and people. Films used to be Hollywood. It's not Hollywood anymore. It's London and Korea and Hungary. I mean, they're in other places now. And, Georgia was big for a while. Arizona was big for a while. I mean, they've had their things. And so Hollywood is no longer really the magic pill anymore. And so it's kind of interesting, because here we are talking about needing to have global connection, and in a way they're already working in those areas in different places. So it's kind of, I mean, I do feel like we're heading into where we all need to be more globalized than isolated. I
agree.
And with film, it's more important.
Right.
Hi, this is Growing Up Aspen. Glad you enjoyed that last little blast, and I hope you stick around for a few more. We want to, the authors of Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised, would like to thank you and ask you to, if you're interested, you can check out our book at twistandturnpress.com, or any local bookstore can order our book. So we will talk to you soon and hear more from some of our friends. Thanks.